Do you believe you are free? Think carefully before answering. You wake up and the first thing you do is grab your phone, scrolling through the screen in search of something new, something to distract you. Then maybe a coffee, a dose of dopamine while watching a short video, a song to relieve boredom. On your way to work or college, you consume more stimuli, podcasts, social media, incessant notifications. And when you finally have a moment of silence, what occurs? Discomfort arises, an emptiness, something that forces you to seek yet another distraction, another immediate pleasure. The problem is not pleasure itself. Pleasure is a natural tool of the human mind, an evolutionary mechanism driving us to seek what keeps us alive. But what happens when pleasure becomes the very prison? When the need to feel something good at all times makes us captives of an endless cycle of instant gratification. Machiavelli predicted this nearly a century ago, while George Orwell warned of a future of brutal repression in 1984. Machiavelli had an even more terrifying vision, a world where people wouldn't need to be forced to obey because they would be so entertained, so overwhelmed with pleasurable stimuli that rebellion would never cross their minds, a world where slavery would need no chains, where people would love their servitude. Now look around you. What do you see? A society obsessed with entertainment, consuming pleasure without limits, seeking immediate relief from any discomfort. But what is the cost of this? Is this relentless pursuit of instant happiness truly liberating you or keeping you imprisoned? In this video, we explore how modern society conditions us to seek pleasure as a form of control, and why this dependency may be transforming you into something you never imagined, a voluntary slave. If you believe you are in control of your own mind, you better keep watching because maybe, just maybe, you will discover you never were. Perfect slavery needs no chains. It requires no torture, threats, or constant surveillance. It only needs something simple, yet devastatingly effective: pleasure. When pleasure becomes the center of existence, servitude disguises itself as freedom, and this is exactly what Machiavelli predicted in Brave New World. Imagine a world where people question nothing because they are constantly entertained, where the search for meaning is replaced by the consumption of cheap distractions, where pleasure is not a choice but an imposition. In his dystopia, Machiavelli created a society where individuals are conditioned from birth to avoid anything that generates discomfort. Whenever a negative feeling arises, unease or existential doubt, the solution is at hand. A dose of soma, the perfect drug that keeps everyone anesthetized and docile. But is this world truly fiction? Consider your daily life. Whenever you feel boredom, sadness, or frustration, what is your first reaction? Do you stop to understand that feeling, or do you immediately seek distraction? Social media, series, food, alcohol, shopping, sex, pornography, games. The list is endless. We live in the age of instant gratification, where any discomfort can be smothered in seconds with a touch on the screen. You never have to face the void, just fill it with another dose of pleasure. And the most dangerous part? It all seems to be a choice. No one forces you to consume entertainment 24 hours a day. No one makes you waste hours on Instagram or TikTok. No one points a gun at your head and says, buy this, eat that, keep scrolling. But if this is a choice, why is it so hard to stop? The answer lies in conditioning. When you get used to seeking immediate pleasure to relieve any form of discomfort, your brain learns this as the standard solution. Over time, you lose the ability to deal with boredom, silence, introspection. Your mind becomes incapable of being alone with itself. And without realizing it, you become exactly what Machiavelli predicted: a happy servant imprisoned not by force but by pleasure. But why does this happen? How does conditioning teach us to avoid critical thinking and keep us trapped in this addictive cycle? This is what we will explore next. If this content resonates, click the subscribe button and join the channel. Thank you for your support. Have you ever wondered why it is so difficult to stop? Why, even knowing you should focus on something productive, your hand automatically reaches for your phone. Your brain begs for a new notification, a new video, a new stimulus. This doesn't happen by chance, you have been trained for it. From the moment we are born, we are conditioned to avoid discomfort at all costs. The educational system does not teach us to think critically, but to repeat information. The job market programs us to produce, not to reflect. The culture of entertainment delivers constant distractions, so we never stop to question the world around us. The sum of all this creates a society where the real threat is not an authoritarian government prohibiting freedom of expression, but a system that makes us completely lose interest in seeking it. Machiavelli understood this better than anyone. In Brave New World, citizens did not need brutal repression. They were taught to love their slavery. From childhood, they were subjected to processes of hypnopedia messages repeated during sleep, shaping beliefs without awareness. Phrases like "everyone belongs to everyone" and "a gram of soma solves everything" were etched into their minds to ensure they never questioned anything. They grew up believing happiness lay in conformity, in avoiding deep thought, in fleeing from any shadow of suffering. Now consider how this reflects our reality. Today's conditioning does not happen through hypnopedia, but through social media algorithms, corporate marketing, and the flood of stimuli shaping behavior without notice. Every time you receive a notification, your brain releases dopamine. Every time a short video delivers new information effortlessly, you get used to not having to think for yourself. And every time you are rewarded through likes, social validation, or immediate pleasures, you reinforce the idea that this is the right path. The effect? An entire generation incapable of being alone with their own thoughts, incapable of handling discomfort, incapable of questioning the system, simply because they lost the habit of thinking critically. In the end, dictatorship is not needed to control the masses when they themselves reject any idea requiring mental effort. But this rejection of critical thinking comes at a price. When we avoid discomfort at all costs, we become fragile, manipulable, vulnerable. Constant pleasure weakens us, and manufactured happiness turns us into passive beings. How does this happen? How can the promise of a world without pain lead to complete submission? This is what we will explore next. Imagine a world where no one suffers, where all pains are quickly erased, where sadness, frustration, or anxiety do not exist. It seems like paradise, right? But look closer. What happens to someone who never faces difficulties? What happens to a society programmed to avoid discomfort? The answer is simple. It becomes weak. Machiavelli saw this trap clearly. In Brave New World, happiness was guaranteed by constant consumption of Samath perfect drug. No side effects, no risks, just immediate pleasure. But what did this happiness really mean? It meant no one knew how to deal with pain, frustration, or even their own consciousness. Any uncomfortable thought dissolved in a chemical dose of comfort. Life became an endless sequence of superficial pleasuresques, entertainment, consumption. Anything deviating from this pattern was seen as a threat. Now look around. The modern world may not have soma, but it has its own versions. Social media offering instant validation, dating apps removing fear of rejection, algorithms delivering exactly what we want before we know we want it, all designed to eliminate discomfort, any gap, any need for effort. But this constant escape from pain comes at a cost. Our psychological strength. The brutal truth: pain has a purpose. Suffering shapes resilience. Frustration teaches growth. Difficulty forces evolution. But when all is softened and challenge is avoided, we grow fragile. Today, discomfort feels unbearable. Small failures become existential crises. Minor conflicts seem catastrophic. Anything requiring patience or effort is discarded because conditioning trains us to seek the easiest path. Immediate pleasure, quick fixes. This makes us easier to control. A society of strong, resilient individuals who accept discomfort and learn from it will never be docile or accept systems limiting freedom. But a society of emotionally dependent individuals needing constant stimuli to avoid emptiness, fleeing suffering, will be obedient, manipulable, the perfect society for those seeking power without force. This is how the trap closes. What seems freedom, the ability to avoid suffering, actually becomes our prison. But there is a way out. To escape this cycle, we must understand the difference between pleasure and purpose. While pleasure enslaves, purpose liberates. And that is exactly what we explore next. What are you truly seeking in life? Happiness or meaning, pleasure or purpose? The answer may seem obvious, but have you truly reflected on it? Modern society trains us to believe happiness is the ultimate goal. But what does it offer as happiness? An endless stream of fleeting pleasures, social media likes, impulsive shopping, casual sex, binge-watching, ultra-processed foods that spike pleasure then leave emptiness. All momentarily satisfying, but never lasting, and therein lies the problem. Pleasure is always temporary. It must be constantly renewed, or emptiness returns. Now think about the most significant moments of your life, those that shaped you. Were they moments of instant pleasure or moments of challenge, effort, and triumph? Viktor Frankl, psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor, wrote in Man's Search for Meaning that humans cannot live without purpose. Even in worst scenarios, those finding meaning survived and maintained sanity. Here lies the paradox. The pursuit of constant pleasure weakens us, while the pursuit of purpose strengthens us. Pleasure is easy, immediate, addictive. Purpose requires effort, discipline, resilience. Unlike pleasure, purpose does not disappear once the effect fades. It builds within us, giving reason to continue. But modern society discourages seeking purpose. Purpose takes time, requires introspection, effort, and resistance to suffering, all contrary to immediate consumption. A person with purpose does not need constant distractions. They do not fill every second with superficial entertainment. They resist manipulation by false promises of instant happiness. That is why stimuli bombard us, diverting us from this search. A person with purpose threatens a system thriving on emotional dependence. So if something feels missing in your life, maybe the answer is not more pleasure, but less. Maybe the path is not seeking more distractions, but eliminating excess. Ask yourself, what truly moves you? What makes you get out of bed? Are you living off disposable pleasures or building something meaningful? How do you escape this trap, break the cycle, and reclaim autonomy over your mind? We uncover this next. Now that you understand how chasing pleasure traps you, the crucial question arises: how to escape? How to regain control of your mind in a world that keeps you distracted, doped, emotionally dependent? First, know this is not an easy fight. The system designs failure. It wants you seeking quick pleasures to feed algorithms, consuming endlessly. But there is a way out, starting with your decision to become aware of the game played against you. The first strategy: strategic deprivation of pleasure, not becoming ascetic or rejecting all fun, but consciously regulating exposure to addictive stimuli. Pleasure itself is not the problem, but how it's used against you. When you abstain from certain pleasures for a time, social media, processed food, compulsive entertainment, your brain recalibrates, finds satisfaction in small things, and craving artificial stimuli loses power. Second, rebuild your tolerance for discomfort. Regain ability to handle boredom, frustration, lack of constant stimuli. Allow yourself silence, disconnect from information floods, simply exist without distractions. At first, this is hard. Your dopamine, addicted brain demands more. But if you resist, you'll notice. Discomfort doesn't harm, it strengthens. Third, cultivate critical thinking. Ask, why do I feel the need to distract myself? Who profits from my addiction to pleasure? What could I do if not trapped in instant gratification? The more you question, the more you realize many habits and desires were programmed by the system, not truly chosen. Only those who ask can rewrite their destiny. Fourth, and perhaps most vital, Replace pleasure with purpose. As discussed, meaning is the true antidote to slavery of instant pleasure. Ask yourself, what really matters? What do I want to build? How do I make life meaningful? Difficult questions, but the only ones that matter. But beware, breaking free means society around you remains immersed in the cycle. When you change, people notice. Some admire, others reject. Freeing yourself makes you a mirror reflecting what others refuse to see. This we explore in the final part. If you've come this far, something inside awakens. You see that relentless pursuit of pleasure is not freedom, but conditioning, trapping you. You understand modern society doesn't need chains, it convinces you to flee discomfort. Now, what will you do with this knowledge? Escaping requires more than willpower. It means swimming against the current, rejecting the easy path, accepting loneliness and resistance. Because stopping distractions means seeing, and seeing means realizing many remain blind. Some will admire, some will reject, some will resist your change. They'll try to pull you back, saying there's nothing wrong with the system, that life is meant to be enjoyed without much thought. But now you know the truth. Pleasure without purpose is just another form of slavery. The choice is yours. Continue living distracted, chasing dopamine, ignoring growing emptiness, or reclaim your mind, build purpose, become someone not easily manipulated. What will you choose? Have you felt trapped? Seen how society uses pleasure to control? Leave a comment. Questioning is the first step to freedom. If this video changed how you see the world, like and subscribe. Here, we don't go with the flow. Question, reflect, and seek truths no one wants you to see. If you want to continue the journey of self-discovery and liberation, subscribe and turn on notifications. This is just the beginning. See you in the next video.